Good morning, man. You got expires. Yeah.
What's that on your shoulder?
Little water.
Little water.
I got it.
A lot of you.
I've been crying incessantly since I got up this morning. You know, when I got time for the minute room.
Yeah, we got about 4 minutes.
Okay. All right.
That's what they told me. Today's my daughter's birthday.
How old is she today?
33.
33.
She's the youngest. Anthony's 37. You see that, Anthony?
Had one.
I had it there, but wherever we thought the media, well, the media was going to come, but the weather, so I think keeping them away, so that's probably going to the table.
Some more that last time I set it to, schedule for 6 o'clock for Facebook. So I'm gonna do another 2. I think we can get next 2 weeks.
So 39.
Yes. 39. That's 2 weeks.
I like it spread out, then I got room to work. I like having a little more room.
Ends on the 30th. There's our, there's our.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it.
Well, then when it expires, then that just stamps that.
Yeah.
Good, good. Appreciate it.
That's the cheap way. If you can't get in, copy the meeting ID.
Gotcha. Can y'all still hear me in the boardroom?
And
Running out from the body shop chasing
what the
the
look we get.
general manager with the ball.
Exactly.
And if you'd have called him, he could. Okay, everybody ready? Call to order the Jackson County Board of County Commissioners meeting for June the 9th. If you will, please stand for the invocation and the pledge. Mr. Rhodes.
My dear Father, we're very thankful for this opportunity we have to come and meet this morning. We're thankful to Thee for the many blessings that we have received. We're thankful for the rains that have come to replenish the earth. We're thankful to Thee for this great country and the right that it gives each of us to assemble here today. We are thankful for Jesus Christ and the atoning sacrifice that He made for each one of us. We ask Thee now to bless commissioners as they go throughout this week, that they may be able to use the power of discernment and to make decisions that will be best here for our community. We ask us all that we all may be tolerant of each other and keep others in mind and the feelings that we have at this time in our country. Ask for these and the other blessings I seek to bestow upon us in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Ms. Daniels, agenda.
Yes, we have one addition under section 1, item M, request board authorization for CDBG DR task order for GP strategies, and that's all of the changes.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Chair, I move that the agenda be approved as presented with change noted.
So moved. 22nd.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Spires, second by Commissioner Hill. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 5-0. Okay, consent agenda items. Has everybody had a chance to look over them? Is any questions, comments?
So moved, Chairman.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Spires. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried 5-0. Okay, item B, Miss Sandy Martin. While Miss Martin's coming up, Fred, can you hear us over the air conditioning?
We don't even notice it.
Okay. Do y'all want to let it go or turn it off?
That's good.
Okay, we'll let it go for a while.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Thank you for having me this morning. I passed out some paperwork to you this morning that I wanted to go over a little bit. I'll start with the summary for Jackson County. It's the page, the one pager that's not stapled. And I just want to iterate that this is data for this morning. It's being verified right now. I believe it is accurate, but sometimes we get data in the mornings that we have to change a little bit because they're assigned to the wrong county or something like that. But I do believe this is going to be the number that will come out later today on the Florida Department of Health dashboard. Our current number for positive COVID cases today in Jackson County is 310. And that's out of 4,114 tested, which gives us a 7.5% positivity rate. Statewide, we have a 5.3% positivity rate. And if you recall, I told you early on, we expected that we would peak a little later than the rest of the state. Remember, we lagged behind for quite some time, and now we're there. Pardon me, but we're still less than the 10% at 7.5%. Of that 310, we are still monitoring, under public health monitoring, 73 cases. I'm still unable to give you a definitive recovery rate because that term is not yet defined, but I can tell you that we're still monitoring 73 out of the 310, and that includes everyone. That includes long-term care facilities, the prison, and those amongst the population. In hospital now, we have 2 positive COVID patients in the hospital. Neither one of those are on event, but we do have 17 ventilators available in the hospital. And we do have the treatment remdesivir available in the hospital currently. So we're in good shape with the hospital. We've received masks from Department of Emergency Management, 45,000 masks that we are to distribute amongst the vulnerable population in Jackson County. And so we are, I have a whole list of where we're distributing those masks, but we're giving them, of course, to county commissioners, the police departments, sheriff's office, city halls. We're working with places so that people can go and get masks and not all have to come to the health department. And of course, we have them available at the health department as well. I gave you another sheet and it's stapled together. It again is unverified data, but I don't anticipate it changing. It's this sheet that's stapled together. And I like this one because I'm commonly asked this question. This is the number of cases in Jackson County that are not associated with long-term care or the prison system. It's a stapled together sheet. You find it, Dr. Spires? Okay. And so a lot of people like to look at this data pulled away from the rest of it. So I thought I would provide that to you today. The last thing I have for you today is our testing locations for the remainder of June. We're going to be this Thursday in Graceville at the Civic Center from 4 to 6. Next Tuesday, the 16th, at the Alford Community Center in Alford. And then the following Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday rotation at the Health Department here in Marianna, the main building. No appointment necessary, 18 and older. You don't have to have symptoms to be tested. It is the nasal swab. We do anticipate a 48-hour turnover with the lab. We've been given a different lab to use. We always anticipate a 48-hour turnover. Sometimes that doesn't quite work out, but we do believe that we will have a 48-hour turnover. We work 7 days a week. We call people with results on the weekends. And so, in fact, that's sometimes preferable because we don't have so many other things going on. So that's what's going on with the testing in the community. I want to remind everyone to continue social distancing as we open up in phase 2, continue to protect our vulnerable population, particularly our elderly population, those with underlying health conditions, continue wearing your masks in public, and continue with the hand washing. And I'm glad to take any questions from the board.
Dr. Spires?
Okay. I've heard that the nasal swab is the most efficient test as opposed to testing the blood for antibodies. Is that correct?
Those are actually two different tests. The nasal swab is testing for active live virus. The antibody test is testing for a previous exposure and therefore having built up antibodies. And then among antibody tests, they are not the same. The venous blood draw in the center of your arm, that's the antibody test that is FDA approved and is the most accurate test. There are finger stick tests out there for antibodies, and those aren't quite as accurate as the blood draw, but neither is going to tell you whether or not you have currently COVID-19 infection. Now, with the finger sticks, sometimes they'll identify that you have had an exposure, and then they'll follow that up with a nasal swab to confirm whether or not you do indeed have COVID-19.
Thank you.
Mr. Pickup?
Ms. Sandy, the one death we had, was there underlying health reasons?
I don't have that information to share.
Any more questions?
So just thank you for the mass delivery, Natalie Gunn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have the box in my car. It's just raining. So yes, I'll make sure you have a mask.
I get it.
Thank you, Ms. Sandy.
Thank you so much.
Do we need to ask if
If
anybody from the public?
If Fred wants to open it up to the public, that's fine.
Fred, if you will, please.
All right. If
Go ahead, Fred.
all right, if we have any members of the public that would like to ask a question for Ms. Martin, I'd like to remind you to use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen, or if you're dialed in via phone, use *9. At this point, I see no hands raised.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay,
Sandra.
thank you very much. Y'all have a good day.
Okay, item C, Chief Runner.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bring before you some good news at this meeting. Our item C, first item is board acceptance of the Florida Department of Health EMS matching grant in the amount of $18,000. This is to provide 600 Stop the Bleed kits. Our local match required for this grant is $6,000. These Stop the Bleed kits will be placed in every classroom in the Jackson County School District in preparation for any active shooter events.
Okay. We got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Spires. All in favor, say aye. I mean, raise your hand. I'm sorry. Aye. Do both of them. Motion carried, 5-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, next item.
Item D, we were also awarded another Florida Department of Health EMS matching grant in the amount of $60,000 for CPR chest compression devices. And we're required, and to provide the required match of $20,000.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Okay,
Second.
got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Spires. Commissioner Hill.
What is, are these the ones that go underneath the patient that?
Compresses, yes.
What's the name on the kind of unique, that's the
Uh,
Venera or?
Their name, the Lucas device. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Peacock.
Was this in our budget?
We didn't have the funds set aside when we came in the budget, but we do have capital outlay funds that are not being used that we can use for that.
What kind of capital outlay funds?
When talking with Ms. Tidwell, we have some capital outlay funds that we have not spent going forward this year that we can use towards this to match.
You want to use that towards capital equipment for next year? Carry that over?
Well, what we talked about is using these funds first and then replenishing them at budget time. We had set aside for the fire truck rollover fund.
And the next $75,000 at budget.
Put it back from where?
Our intent also going forward is to actually budget matching dollars, something apparently we haven't done in the past, or always.
We have done it, typically for the year, matching grant money per year for fire rescue.
Years ago we did, yes, right when I was a captain.
We had 10,000 budget, we saw on the paper, turned it back, but is that of the application? So that reduced it from 10. So we didn't know we were gonna get $60,000 grant with a $20,000.
And I'm just gonna ask, just like a matching contingency fund that we were talking about establishing. Just, Mr. Rock,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
were you thinking like some kind of a matching contingency fund for that particular department, that you had in mind?
I'm better at reading lips. Can you move your hands right there?
This is called harassment. Like, you were thinking in terms of a matching contingency fund for events such as this, like grants, opportunities, things of that nature? Okay.
You said, we used to have one? Did we?
Yeah, I know in fire rescue, we set aside grant matching money every year in the budget, but, that's something we probably need to look at it better.
Okay. We got a motion by Commissioner Hill and second by Commissioner Spires. Any more questions, comments? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, item E.
Item E is the board approval to purchase these 6 Stryker Lucas CPR chest compression devices and the related accessories off of the SAVIC buying contract. It would come to the amount of $79,954.32.
pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Spires, second by Commissioner Lockie. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign, motion carried 5-0.
Thank you,
Okay.
Commissioner.
Item F.
Item F, this is a request for board approval for volunteer fire department funds to the town of Malone. They are seeking $5,453.96 from the Board of Commissioners to assist in purchasing 2 LifePak AEDs and 2 tires. I do recommend this request to be approved because there are no grants that are out there available that are open at this time. The Florida Department of Forestry grant is still, they're not giving out any funds post Hurricane Michael. Since they did the 100% match, all those funds are frozen.
Commissioner
You
Lockie.
said 2 tires?
Yes, sir. They said the 2 AEDs and 2 tires is what the request that they put on letterhead.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this request.
Okay. We got a motion by Commissioner Peacock, second by Commissioner Hill. So is this in their?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think they already had the funds, in there from last year, some of them, this is part of it.
They never requested last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is from,
Did y'all hear that? They didn't ever request last year's funds?
yeah, so this is something that they had left over from last year.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign, motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Daniels.
Good morning.
Morning.
Today, my request is board approval to initiate RFP for cleanup of Spring Creek and a section of Chipotle River from Spring Creek to a half-mile past Magnolia. More so than just a surface level floating debris, I'd actually like to get someone that can scuba dive and pick up the bottom over the course of the years. Various types of debris have, glass bottles, cans, all sorts of things have fallen to the bottom of the river and the creek. So I just would like to request to put out for RFP to see what a project like this would cost, because I honestly have no idea. And then kind of evaluate when we get some bids in, if that's something that we would like to entertain. I intend on it to put it out for bid and then go through the budget cycle. And then at the end of the, summer season, maybe in the fall, have a company come in and do the cleanup.
Is there any tree debris that?
No, this would not be tree related or hurricane related. This is all
Man-made.
yes, sir.
I'm not opposed to going out for RFP to see what it would cost, but I would think maybe we have some volunteer divers in the area that would love to volunteer their time to do that.
And we've had a couple of volunteer events in the past, and they're just not very effective.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this request for him to go out for RFP.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Peacock, second by Commissioner Lockie. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign, motion carried
Thank
5-0. Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Ms. Taylor.
Good morning.
Morning.
Requesting board approval to initiate the RFP for the Agriculture Center concession building. This is due to damages that were a result of Hurricane Michael. We're requesting to initiate the RFP for the repairs or replacement to the damages as necessary.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion to approve this request, but I do have one question.
Okay.
Are we going to be reimbursed on
This-
this by FEMA or
Yes,
insurance?
and I have a copy of that that for some reason did not get printed, but I do have a copy of that for you.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Peacock, second by Commissioner Hill. And we'll look at this right quick. From what I understand, we hope that 12.5% will be waived by the state.
Yes, we hope.
Okay, any more questions or, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign, motion carried 5-0.
Okay, requesting board approval of submittals and award the contract for CDBG grant administration services to Melvin Engineering pending the approval by the DEO. An RFP for the CDBG grant administration services on 5/8/20 and it closed on 5/26/20. We received only one response to the request from Melvin Engineering. So we're seeking the board approval to award the contract pending approval by the DEO.
So I guess this will meet FEMA's requirement. I mean, can you do just one?
This is actually not FEMA.
Oh,
And
it's
it
not?
does meet, CDBG requirements.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Second.
I think I heard Mr. Lockie. Motion by Commissioner Spires, second by Commissioner Lockie. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried 5-0. Are you cold?
It's freezing.
I can tell. Okay, next on the agenda is item J. Is that Ms. Pam or somebody gonna handle it?
Should be on the phone.
Ms. Pam?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. As everybody knows, good morning, commissioners, everybody. Hello, how are you? Back in January, we were awarded the Endeavor Dozier properties from the state of Florida, including if the properties are some specialized pieces of equipment. One of them is a walk-in cooler that is 20 foot by 23 foot approximately, and it's located in the old cafeteria. We have the opportunity to assist a local nonprofit who would be an authorized regional distribution point for the various local food banks and nonprofit food distributors. They are in need of that walk-in cooler in order to accomplish the task they are undertaking. There is an increased need of ability to house additional food sources for the local food banks and nonprofit. The organization is currently providing food resources for distribution to not only Jackson County, but to Calhoun, Franklin, Gulf, and Holmes as well. The organization has been instrumental in assisting the local communities with disaster relief and feeding of volunteers during various disasters, particularly Hurricane Michael. The county attorney has reviewed the request and provided Florida statute language that authorizes the local government to surplus such an item such as this. The receiving agency would have to transport and move the item. The county could not do a part of that. The organization is an integral part of the North Florida Inland Long-Term Recovery Group, and we have Christy Terry and Levon Pettis to speak to this today. We have communication from them supporting the need as well as the donation to the organization. It was not able to get printed. We didn't get it before the books were printed on Friday. The organization is Evangel Compassion Ministries, who are under the umbrella of Evangel Worship Center. And so we would like the board we make a recommendation that the board approve this for Evangel to pick up and move. And I believe Christy Terry would like to speak first. Fred?
She's unmuted.
Hello, this is Christy Terry. I would just like to communicate that our organization, the North Florida Inland Long-Term Recovery Group, works closely with Evangel and supports this donation. We did discuss it at our board meeting last week. Reverend Ron Miser made a motion to support this request, and it was seconded by Kobe Beasley and passed unanimously. So we think that this would definitely help not just our area but surrounding areas as we continue to take care of our communities.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I move that we declare this piece of equipment surplus and donate it to the Evangel, what's that group?
Evangel Compassion Ministries.
Okay. We got a motion to grant the request. Do I hear a second?
Second for discussion.
Declare surplus, and you have to declare it surplus first and then donate it.
Okay.
So That was all in one motion.
I'll second, just for, just a question, are they want to remove or they just want to use it out there?
No, they want to move.
Okay, good, I didn't know that, okay, good, yeah.
Move it at their expense, they'll move it out.
Okay, we have a question, right? Or was that?
Yeah, I second, yeah, I second.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign, motion carried 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I do
Yes.
believe Mr. Pettis was on the line.
Okay.
Just he may want to say something.
Okay, Mr. Pettis?
Thank you. We appreciate it so much. On behalf of Evangel Church and Evangel Compassion Ministries, I'll tell you right now, we've moved 9 semis already. I've got one sitting out here now getting ready to distribute. This is going to be a great blessing to our community as we continue to work with USDA and Convoy of Hope to be able to have not perishable goods delivered into our county. So we appreciate the board and the trust that you have in the ministries that's going on here. Thank you again. We appreciate it very much.
We appreciate what y'all do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Item K. Mr. Scotty Taylor.
Morning, board. I'm here this morning just to close out it was called FEMA 6 whenever I arrived here. It's actually part of 4177, some roads that were awarded to Graham County Land Company to grade, add some lime rock. We were having some performance issues with them when we got here. There was $21,428.90 remaining on contract, so we issued them a change order, deduct of that, and agreed to go our separate ways.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Peacock, second by Commissioner Spires. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign, motion carried 5-0.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, item L would be Ms. Daniels.
This is a request for approval of the establishment of a temporary OPS custodial worker for the courthouse. I was contacted by court, the judges, and as well as court administration approximately a month or 6 weeks ago. When they reopen in early July, they have outlined a process for cleaning in between court to ensure that, because there will be a large number of people in and out of the courthouse every day, to ensure that particular cleaning is adhered to. So in an effort to give them something until we can know how long this will go on or if it's a long-term need, we're proposing that we create this OPS position for 6 months. It would be a $15 per hour job. We are proposing to use the vacant maintenance budget for their current vacancy to fund the position, but this is a reimbursable expense under the CARES Act funding that we're hoping that the governor releases to our county as well as other municipalities in the near future. But we do have a funding source in the meantime, and then we will apply to receive that money back.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Peacock. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign, motion carried 5-0. Okay. Item M would be Ms. Daniels.
Yes, this is a request for board authorization for CDBG DR task order for GP Strategies. This is a item that this is a disaster relief funding that comes about after disasters such as Hurricane Michael. We are anticipating this funding to be released in September after the application cycle to start in September. GP Strategies, that was part of their RFP that they submitted post Hurricane Michael. And so they have submitted a task order in the amount of $90,000 that would include up to 15 applications, the monitoring documents that are required for CDBG DR, which is a HUD program. And most of that money should come back to us in the award of these applications. But I spoke with Danielle and we looked, worst case scenario, she's recommending that we use BP funds. Worst case scenario, if we do not get that money back, But I do anticipate we will get the money back when we are awarded the funding.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
Move approval.
Second. Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Spires, second by Commissioner Hill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried 5-0.
And Mr. Chairman, while we're on that item, I would like for the board to consider setting a special meeting for our next board meeting, which I believe is the 23rd at 4:30, for you all to consider adoption of a priority list for the CDBG DR funding, so we can start working on those applications.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Peacock, second by Commissioner Hill. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried 5-0. So y'all be thinking on the priorities. We want to be first in line.
That's right.
What all of these entail? These are road, everything?
No, it will, in that workshop, we'll outline exactly what it's, but it's, it's got to be disaster related. And then it can't be something that we're getting funding from another source from. And then it also, because it's HUD funding, has to fall within a certain economic area. So it's not just anything, but we will apply, we will qualify for, many, many things.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I'll be happy to meet with any of you one-on-one ahead of time to talk about if there's something in your district specifically, and we can talk through whether it will apply for the funding.
Okay, at this time, we'll go into the public hearing. Miss Wendy?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This morning I have a request for board approval of a small-scale amendment. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the small-scale amendment. The proposed land use changes from Agriculture 2 to Industrial 1 and is located on a 9.78 acre site approximately 1.8 miles east of Highway 231 on the northeast corner of Highway 162 and Holy Neck Road in unincorporated Jackson County, Section 28, Township 6N, Range 11W. We request a motion to approve and permission for the chairman to sign. And I would like to go ahead and read the title on the ordinance. An ordinance amending ordinance number 91-6, which adopted the Jackson County Comprehensive Plan to provide for the adoption of a certain small-scale future land use map amendment to the Jackson County Comprehensive Plan, providing for severability and for repealer, providing for an effective date. Thank you.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
No, not yet.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Fred, we need to see if we have anybody to speak for or against this.
All right, if we have anybody from the public that would like to speak for or against, you may use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen, or if called via phone, you may use *9. All right, first hand, SIGL.
Go ahead.
They'll have to unmute themselves on their end.
Good morning, board. This is Scott Sigler. I'm an agent for the project and just wanted to let you know that I was here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you.
At this point, I see no other hands raised.
Okay.
What type of project, what's going there, do you know?
We don't know that yet. We haven't applied yet.
I do have one hand. Phone number ending in 995.
Please state your name for the record and go ahead.
Yes, sir. This is Deborah Buckhalter with Jackson County Florida. I was wanting to ask the project manager if he could talk about what the plan is.
Scott, are you still, Scott Sigler, are you still on the line?
Yes, sir, I am here. Could you please repeat the question?
Go ahead, Ms. Deborah.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the project.
Yes, absolutely. The project is a small-scale map amendment for light industrial uses. The owner of the property would like to put in warehousing in a 100 by 400 foot square facility with the opportunity to ship and receive packaged products.
Could you repeat? You were a little garbled there. I couldn't quite hear what you wanted to put in. I'm sorry, I missed it. You were a little blurry there.
Yes, ma'am. The owner of the property is asking for the opportunity to put in a 100 by 400 foot square foot warehouse with the opportunity to ship and receive packaged products.
Can you talk about the kind of packaged product?
Yeah, the leasing of the property is seeking the opportunity to do packaged beverages, flavored waters.
Flavored waters only?
As a opportunity there, they can package any type of beverage.
It would, but it wouldn't be the packaging of it. It would be the shipping and receiving of it. Would there be an alcohol content to it at any point, or some and some not, or is it all or none?
They would do packaging there at the facility. There's been no discussion of alcohol production. I don't know that there's any restriction on that in the future if someone else was to use the facility, but the current user is not discussing alcohol.
And when you say packaging, do you just mean boxing it for shipment, or do you mean packaging into bottles type of thing?
They will be packaging into any type of container. The type of container being discussed right now is an aluminum can.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Deborah. Commissioner Lockie? Go ahead.
Is this facility going to bottle, can, or is it a production facility, or is it a distribution facility?
This is a canning facility where they will actually can the product.
Okay. Any more questions, comments? Fred, do we have anybody else on the line?
Ms. Buckhalter's got her hand up again.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Deborah.
Thank you. I'm sorry to keep bothering you, but I just want to make sure I understand. So would you be receiving that bulk product and then be pouring it into cans from a big vat? I mean, is that the part of the shipping and the receiving aspect of it? Is that what, am I understanding the process right?
No, ma'am, and you're no bother. We're glad to answer any question you might have. The facility will receive raw products in the way of raw materials, empty cans, boxes, and those types of materials that it will utilize for bottling the product on site, adding any flavorings that it might choose to add, and then package there at the facility for shipping and distribution.
But from whence does the product come? Does it be produced here somewhere, or does it come from the spring here, or would it come from some other source from a big container and then brought down to smaller containers? Or that's the part I'm missing and not understanding, I think.
The groundwater there at the property will be utilized for the facility.
I'm sorry, say that again.
a groundwater well at the property will be used for the water production.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
That,
I just wanted to clarify for the public's benefit that you're only being asked to approve the land use change today. There will be another opportunity if there's questions on the specifics once they apply for that development.
Right. Yes.
Is it typically we do a land use change and then we find out what's gonna go there but the land use change is already done?
Right.
So what if if you had anybody from the public that opposed it?
So at that point,
Because if it's gonna, it sounds to me like it's a water, some type of beverage production facility.
so all we're saying today is we agree that that land use change is reasonable in that spot for industrial one. And then once you get to the development, then the decision is, do we agree that that development is reasonable in industrial one? That, at that point, if you said, we don't think that that's reasonable or appropriate, then, or the public disputed it, then that, at that point would be done.
Okay. Any more comments, questions, for or against from the public?
Ms. Deborah Buckhalter again.
one more.
Deborah.
Yes, sir. One more question. Do you know have an estimate of the volume of water that would be drawn through the well on a daily basis? Do you have an idea on scope?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, we're anticipating about 50,000 gallons a day will be utilized, and we intend to operate under a general use permit with the Water Management District that would restrict us to an average of less than 100,000 gallons per day.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any more questions or comments from the public?
I see no other hands raised.
Now we'll go back into regular schedule. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve this request.
Okay. I have got a motion by Commissioner Peacock, second by Commissioner Spires. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Wendy.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, we don't have anything in community development. Ms. Apostle Johnson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
God, Yahweh, sent before the county commission requesting free counseling for the public on a volunteer basis, granted you give me space to use once, twice, or 3 times a week.
Sorry, Ms. Apostle Johnson, no action today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Do we need to do the public before being?
Kim?
Okay, Fred, if we will, let's open it up for the public. If they have any questions or comments before we get into our GP strategies update.
Okay, just one more reminder. If you'd like to speak, use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen if joined via computer or mobile device, or if you are joined via phone, use *9. At this point, I see no hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll have GP strategies do the monthly update. Mr. Ben. Fred, has Ben on the line?
Hi, this is Dan Knutz from GP Strategies. I'm going to go ahead and kick off and then turn the baton over to Ben when he joins. He is coming on soon, though.
Okay, go ahead, Dan.
All right, thank you, sir. Good morning. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the 4399 construction project highlights. As we're moving into the project stage, into some of the notice of award processes for the contractors, I'm going to be engaging with especially Missy Mossy for Spring Creek, Citizens Lodge contractor, and Emergency Signs to start building out a schedule for what the project looks like. And that involves milestones that will be incorporated in this report. And then also making sure that we're tracking towards the end date for each one of those projects. So you all will see the report shifting to show that information to kind of track project progress as we go along. If there's anything that you all would like to see from a better schedule representation or data representation, please get with me and let me know. We want to make sure that we're being transparent with the project progress, and if there's anything that we need to tailor to the projects, obviously you all are stakeholders and we need to know, what the needs are. So that's just a brief update on where we're at, the direction that we're working towards. Also, in the upcoming week and a half, I'll be working with Will Ann and her team to start developing the information for that workshop for the special meeting so that we can talk priorities for the county. So looking forward to that. I think that'll give us a very good direction for the projects, and you guys will have better buy-in to the direction for the overall projects for the county, and that means. Let's see. You guys have any questions up to this point?
I do.
Commissioner Pickup.
When do you anticipate Citizens Lodge construction starting?
So construction starting should be, I have to check the mobilization timeframe for that. I can report back to you and the commissioners later today with that information.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did we have I think last meeting we had a question on the street signs. Did we get a clarification on that? I think we did, but we're good with that?
I believe they emailed you all, but Dan, if you want to update here, that's fine.
Yes, sir. There's a time frame that we're actually in right now that's between the notice of award and notice to proceed. Those questions through the design phase can be brought up and addressed, from a sizing standpoint to verify that we're replacing what was previously there. That was in the email. So if you guys have any other additional questions, please let me know. But yes, the verification of what was there and what's going back is part of the design process.
Okay, the question was the size and the reflected. Yes. How reflective it was.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Sir, sounded like an additional substantial cost to make them more reflective.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
But I had a question. Mine was the font size, and I believe they said they don't put them back the same size as it was previously. That was my question, but
that is correct.
I don't remember the price.
I think they'll be fine, but I just want to make sure that we get it covered.
That's right. No, it was a good question. We want to make sure that we're not getting a reduced product from what was previously there.
At the price that's being paid, we want to make sure that that's right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
We got one more question.
If we could, can you break this down by district? So the projects that are inside each commissioner district, so we can follow. I'm getting some calls like on Cypress Park about when is that gonna happen? There's no time frame, and the other stuff in general, I think it'd be important for the commissioner to have an individual breakdown of, I mean, I've still got obviously 4177 questions and obviously the newest one with Hurricane Michael. If we could get a breakdown analysis of that, so we could, maybe, I guess, once a week or every 2 weeks of where those processes are in the pipeline.
Yes, sir. So just to recap, you would like each one of the projects in their designated district to be broken down to kind of show if you have 3 projects where they're at because they're in your district.
Commissioner Spires?
Yes. There's been a lot of discussion about the font size and the reflectability. Is it possible that the board can see an actual sample prior to production?
Yes, sir. So I have been speaking with Joseph Alday, and we are going to engage the contractor to provide some samples for you all to view prior to it going into production. That does seem like something that we can provide for you all.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions so far? I mean, I'm sure they're gonna cover some more. Okay.
Yes, sir. With that, I would like to turn it over to Ben Martino.
Morning, Ben.
Hi, good morning, commissioners and staff. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very well. So a few updates you have in front of you for FEMA public assistance regarding Hurricane Michael. I'll start at the top with our debris project that's been, excuse me, obligated, and payment was received at a 50% of the total project. That was based on, on validation. That was successful with FDEM. So those funds are reflected back to the county currently. And you'll see we do have, and when this report was ran, $6.8 million in FEMA funding received to date. And that includes projects from the emergency protective measures, the debris, as I just mentioned, as well as some permanent projects that have been completed. So those were reimbursements, as well as small projects where we received those fundings ahead of time in preparation for those repairs to be done. So I can certainly get a better update from Danielle and staff and make sure those payments are coming in daily. So again, when this report was ran. Another big win is the Endeavor debris removal project. Those funds were obligated, and again, that's right at that small/large project threshold. So those funds were already received by the county. As of this morning, a good update. I wanted to, as we know, there's with this project, it's very unique, and we have a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross. So we received further verification for work to begin. There's no further stipulations that we don't already know of, i.e. the archaeological services, debris monitors in place, and some other sort of stepping stones to make sure we don't jeopardize any funding. So again, as of this morning, the state, specifically the State Historic Preservation Office, has given us the full go-ahead and green light. They don't have any further questions for us or any further stipulations on the project. So more to come on that as we coordinate the various personnel that will be involved. For the Ag Center repairs, we have multiple projects on that site. So this $540,000 obligated project is for multiple buildings. It does exclude the arena. that is in its own project, as well as what we call buildings 5 and 8. So there are 2 other large structures that are on the property. But what is good to note is in that obligated project, we've agreed to the large amount of repairs needed at the Ag Center concession / bathroom building that is included in that project. So FEMA has agreed, and we've reviewed and also concurred with those necessary repairs to that building. The remaining $2.4 million emergency protective measures costs are being validated. That's ongoing with the staff. We've made a lot of headway. We do expect further payments. Finally, some more payments to that project very soon, based on our meeting with FDEM and their consultants yesterday morning. We are awaiting. We were told Wednesday, and then further confirmation by Friday on some exact dates and amounts that they have successfully validated. Again, those are costs spent back in 2018, at the end of 2018. Again, we've had at least 2 meetings and correspondence throughout the week on that project and the debris. So we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel there. Paved roads, the scope of work documents are being completed, as you may recall, by Phillips Engineering, some oversight by Alday Howell, and we're driving that process. Periodically having FEMA review these documents to ensure the format, the information within is adequate, so that once completed, as far as all of the scope of work documents for each individual road, once all of those are complete, the project can be completely obligated, and we can begin a plan for how those projects and work is going to begin per road or per area in the county. Over at Blue Springs, if you may recall again from last month, an update to that project where we identified a better structure to incorporate some storage and a carport. So for working with Rhett Daniels, we were able to get a second project made, and then since last month it's already been obligated. We're getting some final review by the state. What that is they're going to put their stamp on what we call an alternate project, because we know we're going back to the same function that was there prior to the storm, but the footprint's going to be relatively different. Rather than 3 separate buildings, all of the storage and the necessary honestly, I think it is all storage, and all of those will be under one roof. It'll be much easier for maintenance and for operations. I don't think I have it for PPDR. We do have a project finally formulated in Grants Portal. So what that means is it's officially recognized by the field staff, the leadership team over in Orlando. That's for our sake, this is a centralized point for all correspondence, all documents to go. That can be seen in real time by ourselves, the state, and then FEMA. So that was done, and we're working with FEMA very closely to make sure that this project gets well documented. Thompson Consulting has come in and helped us identify properties and the eligibility. So a good update and good progress being made on PPDR that we're continuing on. There was an official correspondence from Atlanta, so from Region, that recognized PPDR finally to the county and have approved for removal of those of that debris. Now again, this is just official correspondence. We had not anticipated not being approved, but that was something that was being requested for an update for the last year or so, and that was received by Region. I had this as an issue, again, with the delay in the debris removal project. Another good meeting yesterday with the state. It seems as though they're making a lot of progress there with the validation. Our team has, really worked hand in hand with them, as well as bringing in actual staff members from FDEM to ensure that these questions being asked by their auditing accounting team were valid. We did catch a lot of issues with their requests that were in the beginning wasting a little bit of time, but we were able to get over that hump. And we do, again, just like the emergency protective measures, we see the light at the tunnel for the remaining, what is about exactly 50% of that project. I would say the RFR process under issues there, still having a little bit of COVID-19 issues, not quite as much as last month when we reported. We're seeing staff almost back to normal as far as personnel in the office. And, a lot of that comes from getting physical reports and those signatures needed in some cases. So we are still identifying that as somewhat of a delay, but certainly not as much as the last 2 months. So down on page 4, directly below you, you'll see a breakout of projects. And as you've seen for a while, the categories: A is debris, B is your emergency work, C, that is your road repairs as well as your sign repairs. We don't have any of our water structures, that's D, but we have E, and that is all of your buildings, your permanent structures. F is your utilities, G is your parks, recreation, trails, and then Z is our management cost. So I'm not sure if you want me to, it's kind of right there for you, if I can kind of explain it. There was one question we had received as far as if you follow for category A across that project's $10.8 million. It's fully obligated. However, when it shows requested for reimbursement, of course, we're requesting the full amount, but the actual process step in FloridaPA.org, the state system, that is the official term for what they had given back to the county, that 50% payment. So that's why it looks as though we're only requesting half of the obligated amount. But again, that is just what was put into the system as a reimbursement request. I'll also note that these numbers, if you're kind of looking at, it's not exactly half of it. I do need to remind that there is a local share involved. So when the reimbursement is put in, that is that is the amount less the local share. So in this case, it's 5% to the county's responsibility. To date, another request that's pending official correspondence and approval from FEMA region is the request. This would be a request to the state FDEM, is that request for the local cost share waiver. There's been no official response to that, and we're tracking that, trying to pry and get response from them. Typically every other week we try to ping someone with the state to give us an answer. As of now, again, no official answer to our cost share. I don't really have any further updates for the hazard mitigation for FEMA. These project applications are with FDEM. They are being reviewed. Our team, Aptum, who did the generator project, they identified one of the point people with the state who would be reviewing for eligibility and other any potential issues. So we've asked them to give us updates based on correspondence if they need anything. But those are your 4 projects. The generators are broken up into the critical facilities as well as the lift station. So there were 2 applications for those generators that were submitted: the Pooja Road communication tower, and then the plan update. So we have 5 applications, including 4 of those that you see in front of you. Down critical issues, I kind of touched on the cost share waiver. We're still awaiting that approval for that. It is still a critical issue, making sure that final reimbursement. PW 127 is the emergency work that I was speaking of. The remaining $2.4 million we're actively working to receive. Again, I mentioned with the PPDR, that is a very active task right now, so we're staying on top of that. And you know, our meeting, it shows on the 5th with FEMA. We brought Thompson in on that meeting. We had requested the infrastructure branch director, that's the top leadership position over in Orlando, to be on that call. Based on that call, we had identified, again, many other properties that were identified back in last October to be included in this project. Those packages that we're giving to FEMA include all of their information, pictures. We had some site visits over the last month from FEMA. They did some windshield reviews, but mainly Thompson identifying those properties that were eligible and or going out and just simply taking good photos of all of the debris that are on those properties. The NRCS, as far as for ditches and waterways, working with Herica to get a face-to-face meeting that was unsuccessful for last month due to scheduling. So that's on our, I think we have for our priority for this month to have that meeting here, or say there in Marianna, to identify all those necessary steps that need to be taken next. I think, or just as Dan alluded to with the admin building, as well as other FEMA-related projects that are going to bid and eventually to construction. Any of those phases we're following very closely, and we consider those top priority. For June priorities, I didn't touch on dirt roads specifically. That project is with FEMA. We had given them all of our expenses to date, and that is for permanent repair to dirt roads. So the temporary repairs that were done soon after the storm, those costs are included in that PW 127 emergency work. But this is specifically for more permanent repairs. All those are deemed completed, and those costs associated are with FEMA. We've had a few requests for information, working pretty well with Road and Bridge Department, with Carrie and Scotty and their crew to get a timely response on those. Let's see, I believe everything else I touched on, so that's essentially it from my portion of the report, pending any questions from the commissioners.
Hey, go ahead, Commissioner Pico.
I was just going to ask a question about 4177. Those roads, has that contract been let? If not, why?
So this is Dan. Go ahead. So the contract itself has not been let, and the reason why was, you know, at this point really is no excuse.
I
So
agree.
I'm not even, yep. So what we are doing right now, the current status is I reviewed the bids packages over the weekend. They are solid and they are ready to go out to bid, pending y'all's approval. But we were working through that timeline pretty close to the actual making the agenda for this meeting. So the timeline did not sync to get it on the schedule for this meeting.
Y'all
But
can
the bid docs, I'm sorry.
I was just letting them know they can approve it right now to go out to bid.
They've already approved. it.
We approved it, go out and bid. Yeah, and I got questions before we do.
So we'll have
Go
it
ahead.
done before the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
And I did say done, meaning out for bid.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's all I've got.
Commissioner Hill.
Yeah, a couple of things. You're saying on the 41 cents, so the contract's not been let, but that will be in short order now?
And then put out bids.
Right, to let.
Still got,
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So as far as,
So
Go
what
ahead.
kind of timeframe, lead time are we lagging now? I mean, if we let it tomorrow, what kind of lead time before they're putting dirt or lime on the roads? I mean, we're talking 3 months, 3 weeks?
so you're probably looking at 5 weeks for the total bid process and contract signing. You're looking at potentially 1 to 2 weeks for mobilization. So my best estimate, a month and a half to 2.
So these
from-
are large and small projects. What, I think, what's the definition of the small, 120 and below?
yeah,
Yeah,
they are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so they are all inclusive, so we don't have to come back and ratify anything with bids in the future, correct?
To the best of my knowledge, that is correct.
Okay, another quick question, on the ditches, I noticed the state have done their ditches, along almost all the state highways that I travel in Jackson County, off the roads, off the state right of ways. Where are we on our ditches?
Ben, can you speak to that, please?
Yes, certainly. Specific with NRCS, that's a program that's sort of been identified early on, even last year, that would be our go-to opportunity. That one proved to have a little bit of, it had some issues with having site visits and coordinating for meetings. We are gonna, again, Herica, who is someone I've been talking with, we've pushed to have a justification letter. There was a deadline for having those projects in for their review. And obviously, with all the back and forth, that was missed. So I've pushed to have this justification letter given to her, and we had hoped to sit down and discuss that in May with her and her staff, but that meeting didn't take place. So specific within RCS, I still see this as our main funding source. I have not been able to find any applicable or let's see, similar projects with FEMA. That was a discussion. You may recall that we had seen the potential for it for formulating a new project, but all my research has come up not really showing a good opportunity with FEMA. As far as other grants that we've been tracking, there hasn't been anything specific to those. So one of the issues is these drainage ditches on the area immediately adjacent that is being drained, and the actual benefit to the public on those. Again, these are the point of these very important site visits, and these staff members to come out and see these properties that are along these drainage ditches, these waterways. They want to ensure that by using those funding sources, that it again will be a benefit to the general public, not just a privately owned piece of land along that individual drainage ditch. So that's one of the main.
Is it the same people that oversaw the ditches for the state? What's the difference? The people that has obviously approved the state getting their ditches done and ours, is that not the same people?
I can't speak to where the state is receiving their funding. I can certainly try to find out. I can look under some rocks and see how that program was being managed, or by whom, I should say, that program was managed and funded. I don't know if it was in our CS, so yeah, I can certainly get an answer for you, Commissioner.
It's running up the chain. I mean, it's obviously it's causing us problems. I know Scotty's had to address some of them on an emergency basis just because of flooding issues. But it is a continual problem that we've had obviously now for almost 19 months. But just, if you will, just follow up with me on that. Just give me a name of someone we can contact.
Dr. Spires?
Yes, sir. If I could draw your attention to page 141, it says that District 1 has 1 to 2 sites. And what sites are you referring to there?
Commissioner Spires, I apologize. I really had a difficult time hearing your question.
On page 141, you have the 5 districts outlined at the very top of that page. And in District 1, it says between 1 to 2 sites. What sites are you specifically referring to there?
Let me see. Unless Dan has this information in front of him, I'm not.
Yeah, it's your dirt roads.
Two dirt roads.
Should be 2 dirt roads that's in that,
2 sides.
in the,
But I'm asking,
that's gonna go out
where,
to bid.
what roads are they talking about? Because last time it had referenced Cardinal Road as being rocked, and Cardinal Road is a paved road.
Okay. I'm putting that on my list as well to get some clarity on those 2 sites and what we're deeming as a dirt road and ensure they're accurate. So that's District 1, the 2 sites. And again, that's on page 9. Yeah. Okay. Dan and I will get a clarification and itemize those for you.
Yeah, and just a request, is this obviously information that each district would like to have as far as a breakdown to which sites per district?
I think there might have been one, but if you will, please send another one. Danielle?
Okay.
This is part of what we've been talking about bid now.
Yes.
To finish up the project. So
All
there
of
should
the
have been a list sent to each one of you already that says what roads we were bidding out. If not, then they need to send that.
Yeah, please send it again,
Yes, sir.
preferably today. That way we'll have it.
And
Okay.
bidding out for,
Dirt roads.
4177 completion. We can't do it in-house. We don't have the staff right now to finish up 4177. So FEMA has urged us, the state, to bid it out. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here. Bid out the remaining work, get it done, so we can.
okay, and what are we sending out bids for?
The road,
I mean, what specifically are we asking to be done?
The same
same thing.
we've done on all the dirt roads since the event happened. In
And what's
17, 18.
What's that? Well, because I'm asking because there've been several locations in District 1 when the work that has been done is not satisfactory. The roads are too clayey and they're very slippery. I think we talked about that, Scotty, did we not?
That's part of the delay. They're actually telling them what they want fill-wise on these roads. That's part of the problem that's gotten this delayed. Instead of just saying unclassified fill, they're looking at each road and determining what product needs to be placed on that road prior to us bidding it out. Instead of just saying unclassified fill, which gave them the option to put whatever they wanted to.
Cleaning it
So
up.
you just get very specific, says making sure it's the best product for the road.
Right.
Okay. Well, it shows an underrun here, $766,755 and a penny. How will we know when that's expended?
That's future money. So once we get this road bid out and we begin the work to finish up these last sites, then we'll have a very concrete number on this bottom, what he's projecting you will have to spend on future work.
To be approved by FEMA to
Right.
do improvements
Yes.
to them roads.
Okay. All right. Well, can you please check out why Cardinal Roads keep showing up for work to be done? It was just recently paved.
Commissioner Spires, I just got notification that the two sites are Bull Run and Douglas Road for you.
Bull
And we
Run.
can,
Those are not my roads.
Bull Run is actually contemplating the hill.
This road is off 230.
okay, we can complete the list and get that sent out to y'all today.
Okay, because those aren't in District 1.
But if you want to pay for it, I'd be glad to take it.
Douglas Road, Douglas Road.
Douglas is, Bull Run is not.
We'll run it.
It's in contemplating the hill.
Hills. It's in, yeah, yours.
Add one more.
Okay. All right, okay. I'm sorry, but Douglas is, but Bull Run is not. Okay.
Absolutely. We'll clarify that on the report to you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other for you?
Not
Got
right
you? Okay, I got a couple. Back, when we were talking about the money we received and all, I just want to let the public know that that is reimbursement to the county for money we've already spent. I know we see in the newspaper all the time, the county gets so many $1 million, and everybody wants to know, you know, pave my road or do this or do this. That is reimbursement of what we've already spent due to the hurricane. Okay, the second thing, on the obligation of Endeavor debris, I guess is Series equipment still there, Sheriff? It's gone? Do we need to reach out to them to see?
I just spoke to Sirius about 2 weeks ago, and, I mean, they're still
They're
prepared to
still
do it.
prepared.
I didn't talk about the equipment specifically.
Well, I figured if the equipment's gone, which it might all be gone. I don't know what happened.
They have a time frame on that also, because that's, I mean, obviously, we got the green light pretty much. Is there a time frame of completion?
Ben, can you speak to the Endeavor debris, what the anticipated time to start is?
Certainly. We've coordinated in preparation of this official approval for work to begin, and that coordination has been very close with Ceres as well as with Thompson Consulting, both of whom they have received the outline of the scope of eligible work for FEMA. They understand the stipulations, the necessary requirements by the state historic preservation office, as well as have continuously told us they are ready to mobilize and to begin work as soon as that aforementioned approval was received. So again, to reiterate, we are ready to hit the green light just as soon as, and I say we being, we've coordinated with the archaeological firm that was selected. They had given us approval for them to do work as soon as, I think, 2 days notice. They could be there for the duration of the project.
Ben,
And
how
again,
long
Siri,
a year?
sorry,
6 months?
Yeah,
3 months?
for the completion of the debris removal.
Yes.
In Dozier.
In Dozier.
I would say 6 months is even maybe a long amount of a stretch.
Okay.
I do anticipate this to happen relatively quickly. That's a great question for Ceres that I'm going to relay to them. My conversations have already begun this morning once I received that approval. So I'm going to follow up even more, get everyone on the call. If anyone is interested on joining this call with us or the upcoming meetings, these types of questions are great. What is our actual timeline? Thompson sees certain timelines, maybe a little different than Ceres. We also are identifying where those disposal sites are going to be. And that all was dependent on the time of year that this project was going to happen. We had hoped earlier in the year, but again, these are all things that are in the works. We've coordinated already. We feel like we're basically, again, ready to hit the button to begin the work.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
And I wanted to, and one more reiteration there, this is for vegetative debris. I know there in the plans and the works, and obviously there's many structures on the property, but just for the public, for anyone's awareness, this is for tree, vegetative debris removal specifically.
Okay.
So wanted to mention that.
The administrator or her designee can be on that series phone call with them. We need to get this done.
I'm sure they probably, yes, we need to get it done as soon as possible.
I agree. Yes, sir. It's something we've relayed to FEMA, the importance of getting this done sooner than later because of the hazard that exists and more foot traffic and plans and other work happening on that property. But just generally for the public, it is a nuisance and a hazard. So FEMA understands, and we've reiterated the importance that be removed.
Okay. My next question, comment is 4177. Scotty, this is probably going to be you, but then I keep hearing the discussion about rock, maybe how much to put down and all that. Are we combining improvements that was approved, I think in maybe some of the districts, with the dirt roads? Because
District 4 was approved to put rock
right,
on the road.
Right.
So if you're hearing discussion about rock, I think we're bidding those out as well as the rest of the road.
Should we
Because
bid
we
them
don't have enough time to do it in-house.
Okay, right.
District 5 has roads also for rock approved.
I just want to make sure that maybe I'm wondering if we should combine improvements with back to pre-event. You know what I'm saying?
My understanding when they were going to bid it in alternate, that way we would know what the improved cost was versus the regular work on those other roads.
Scotty, you know where I'm going with this? I mean, I don't want to get, maybe it's fine to do that, but my question is, should we be bidding the rock with the dirt?
Well, they did it, and it was all kind of done before I got here, and they converted some of the unclassified field quantities to rock quantities.
Well, right.
Right.
That was the improvement.
So, if that's considered an improvement, that's where I kind of get to like a gray area. But we'll get on the meeting today. I'll get with
Okay.
them, and I'll make sure that it's not anything that's gonna come back and bite.
Okay, what is are we about to run out of time on the 4177, or what's our timeline on that?
December is when it expires.
It expires in December.
That's urgency.
Well, I hope we get through for them, but we've been going at it a while.
And just to comment on that timeline real quick, that is something that we are aware of from a project standpoint on 4177, and we will be working to achieve.
Okay, and back to where's my money comment that me and Commissioner Peacock asked all the time. But I had 3 roads out for improvements. I think some of them has been approved, maybe at least one or whatever. Can we go out to bid for them?
I'd have to take a look at those.
I've asked, and I might have been told several times, but I'm probably going to keep asking. This right here scheduled, in alternate, $1.2 million in District 2.
Okay. I can take a look at that, just to see that you're getting what you're expecting from that amount.
What is it?
This,
I know it moved up the stack a little bit. They did move a few of those that have been sitting in that holding pattern, but they have not been officially, they haven't moved off of this sheet to be obligated.
Okay. That's been 200 or 300 days in with FEMA. We don't stay on them, they ain't gonna, they'll forget it. We
oh,
already,
absolutely. Yes, sir.
I think that's all the questions I got. Any more questions or comments on the report?
Yeah, where's the money?
Yeah. Commissioner Peacock said, where's the money? I agree with him.
Where are we on the damage to the paved roads caused by the haulers?
They're working on that. That was in the 4399. Is that right, Ben? Y'all working on the damaged roads from Hurricane Michael, the paved roads? I think Alde Howell and Phillips is working on that.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Spires, that's correct. Paved roads that were damaged throughout the county is in a singular project. We have completed all of the damage assessments to those roads. At this point, it's taken those assessments of the actual damage to the roads and, for lack of better terms, transforming that into a scope of work on repairing them back to pre-disaster condition. What we are identifying, and this is pretty standard operating procedure, is sections of roads that may have been damaged specifically to the storm. It may be more cost effective and time efficient to repair more sections than just that patchwork. So of course we're identifying that as the go-to scope of work where applicable. I think I heard someone mention culverts. So culverts are in its own Category C project as well. So any culverts or head walls that are located along dirt or paved roads have also been identified, have been assessed for those damages, and a scope of work has been generated. I guess an alibi to my report is that scope of work for the culverts, we had to review. It was done by FEMA. It was created by FEMA. So that scope of work had to be scrutinized and put against the FDOT standards for repair versus replacement. We found some discrepancies. I say, this was something that Phillips Engineering did. They found many discrepancies and were showing what is actually going to be needed for the real scope of work for those. So that is one additional project I wanted to touch on.
Okay, Ben, thank you for y'all's report.
Yes, sir. No, thank you, commissioners and staff. We appreciate it.
Okay. We'll go now into the round table. Ms. Willan, Ms. Michelle, I'm sorry, she's way over there in the corner.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
I don't either.
Commissioner Peacock?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, one thing, Scotty may want to help me with this. Been discussing with him putting out an RFP for an annual asphalt paving and repair contract. Scotty, you want to make a statement about that?
We need it.
Yeah, currently we have a lot of paved roads that need to be patched, or if we received money and we could actually, use it, if we had an annual paving contract and repair contract, we would have pricing so we could, call them out on a call out basis. I know in the past y'all have one, had some issues with Baxter, but I'd like to write the specs and, you know, you let them price it as a large repair, small repair, and, you know, that way we don't call them out to fix a pothole, we call them out to fix something big, you know. But I'd like to get that put together and go out to bid and get the prices so we'd have it.
Will that also give us the ability to do some work, get the roads ready?
Right, we'll have a line item in for them to, clip off the road, and like if we got the base ready or had the road ready, for them to just come in and clip it off and set it down and pave it. You know, have a price for it, put down 1.5 to 2 inch asphalt by the ton.
I agree with getting the road ready, but, we don't have enough staff to keep the roads going that we
Well,
have.
I understand that. It's
But
just,
if we did, yes.
you know, at least we'd have it if we.
I think this is a good idea.
I mean, yeah, I do too. I've got some bad. Can we bid this out to where when we get the FEMA money? No, you'll have to do it separate.
A separate FEMA approved contract, but
Do we want to try to do that?
But I mean, if we had an existing annual contract in with pricing, we couldn't request the FEMA if we got the money in to use that.
if you bid it as FEMA requirements, then you can use it. If you do not bid it as
That's
FEMA
right.
requirements, you cannot use it.
But, if we get that money from FEMA, there's a lot of road repairs. But I don't know. We might have to do two.
We'd have to look at it. We had to do another one. It's not a
But then
big
we
deal.
don't know when we'll get that funding.
Right.
It could be, oh my God, it could be
Like
years.
I said, I mean, if we gotta go back out, I mean, we can go back out on that.
Well, it would make the most sense to go ahead and work with GP and Tracy to get the contract FEMA approved, and then you just use it for both.
We can do that. We can do that.
So don't- We got
How long
some
does that
roads that
take?
we need to do.
I mean, they should have a template or.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be that much more stringent than.
It's more or less him putting the specifications together, running it through GP, probably Michelle and Tracy to just make sure it meets all of FEMA requirements.
I'll put them together. and
Is that a
I'll give
motion?
Ben.
That's my motion,
Okay, motion is to go out for,
RFP.
RFP, Q, P,
I would think bid.
whatever FEMA requirements are.
Pricing, I mean, bid,
Right.
yeah, be an annual contract, and then we do have a 2-year renewal.
We got a motion by Commissioner Peacock, second by Commissioner Hill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Motion carried
Don't go to
5-0.
I gotta ask them a question.
Okay,
I'm finished.
okay, Commissioner Lockie?
Yeah, 2 or 3 items. City of Marianna is doing a lot of resurfacing the roads in the city, and a couple of the roads are out in the county that city road ends and the county road starts. One would be Sunrise Road, and the other one would be part of Carter's Mill Road that goes out past the apartments out there. I'd like authorization to get with Danielle and use a combination of my rock fund and discretionary funds to fund 2 or 3 projects. One would be the city of Marianna, up to $75,000 for that project. I want to use up to $40,000 for the Citizens Lodge walking trail and the playground equipment. What the playground equipment is, it needs some sand or some areas around that redone. And I'd like to use $26,000 out of Fire and Rescue for the matching grant that we received today, and use it out of that money to fund our matching that we'll need for that. But I'd like the authorization to use a combination of those funds for those 3 or 4 projects to get with Danielle, and we'll have the breakdown. It's come out of discretionary and my rock funds.
Okay.
The other issue is, Scotty and I just can't seem to get together. I don't know what the reason is. You were supposed to call me back yesterday.
You told me when I got the price to call you back.
Did you get the price for that?
Yeah, we're
yet?
getting the price on the striping and on the road. You got 2 options. You know, we can overlay it or we can patch it. Like I said, I'm waiting on Anderson to give me some price on what I can get asphalt for, what they're selling for right now. So I'll have you something probably late this afternoon on that.
Carter's Mill Road runs into Woodbriar and it comes out onto College Street. And what's happening is the school buses use that road back and forth to go. And when this new school gets open, they'll be using that road a lot more from Goldson. Well, they'll be moving Goldson out there. But the buses and the traffic have really done a a number on that road. There's some patching, and the residents from Fifth Street, Fourth Street that use that road, that it needs a center, at the very least, a center line stripe down that road. And there's some patching that really needs to be done.
There's some large areas, a couple of large areas needs some patching, and then there's some edge work that needs to be done on it. So I was trying to compare, you know, if we could overlay it for close to what you end up patching it for, but I think the patching is gonna be your cheapest route.
Yeah, and if we could, when you get me the price back on that, I'd like for us to consider taking that out of the road construction fund money. Because we don't have any striping money in the road.
Right, well, it was put,
There is striping money in the road construction budget.
Okay, fine. So you'll get me that price for bring back. But I like authorization. I think you made the motion to use those other three projects.
I second, I thought you made a motion.
Well, that'd be my motion. You second.
Okay, I have a question, that's only for clarification. Can you use rock money for paving, but you wouldn't pave it all? Because the reason why is last time I was doing some stuff, I asked if I could use my rock fund to pave. Can you do that?
Yeah, we've done that in the past.
You have to get the board elected,
Yeah, we've done that.
which is what you're doing now.
Okay, now, let me clarify. How much money you use now, your discretionary and your rock fund today? Because you were talking about.
Up
taking
to
the rest out of
75, up to 40, and 26.
Okay, and the striping was out of the striping fund?
Yes. Out of that road construction.
We don't have.
We don't have a price
okay,
on that,
okay.
so we'll bring
Okay.
that back.
We got a motion by Commissioner Lockie and second by Commissioner Hill. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, motion carried, 5-0. Okay? Is that it?
Just real quick, Scotty, on US Road, is that bid coming in?
that's the one I gave you that was, right at, 180,000. And we're looking at,
Maybe doing this project with it.
yeah,
The mowing schedule, do you have that yet?
I'll get it for you, John, this afternoon, send it to you.
Okay.
Email it to you.
That was for all the.
All
not just the
all
Indiana,
of it.
I will.
Yeah. And also, Blue, have you heard, I had someone stop me, they asked me about that low spot that FEMA's paying for. I know they're finished with the 162 project, so.
I need to follow back up with, can't remember her name over at Tallahassee and see if that's this year funding or next year funding. Because when I first got here, they were possibly thinking that money would come in later this year, but
Okay.
I haven't
Just
seen anything
give
on
me
it.
a day on that, that's all I will.
Commissioner Spires?
Yes, Scotty, you're gonna have a few minutes after the meeting, we can get together, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I got your stuff.
The second question, have we implemented someone to pick up the trash? Yeah, the mowing looks fine, but the trash is thrown everywhere.
I got all the specs and everything for the litter bid to Tracy yesterday and trying to get it put out, pick it. And we're sending the career source workers we got around to, the worst spots. If we have a spot that somebody calls about, we try to send them to that area to try to get that stuff up, or if the mowers do get something and, we're trying to send, because we only got, I think there's 16 assigned to us, and on a good day, 10 of them show up, but if you have certain roads that, that there are issues, or you see, let me know, and I'll send those guys to them.
Yeah, pick a road.
That's what I mean, some roads, the time they pick it up, you turn around and go back and you can pick it up again.
Yeah.
But
Higher volume.
if you're close to a McDonald's,
What do you
about a
think?
quarter of a mile away, that you can start picking it up.
What do you think we'll have that contract for those people?
We gotta go up 14.
Starting.
We should have the price.
I'm gonna start working on it today, so hopefully we'll have it advertised about the end of the week.
Right, so about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Willing?
I just received notification that Mr. Downs would like the board to know that no alcohol is going to be bottled at the facility that y'all spoke about earlier. He wanted to be sure that was clarified. And then also just reminding you all the special meeting immediately following this meeting, where Mr. Taylor is going to talk about surplus items.
Okay, and I have, Sheriff, do you have anything, Mr. Rooks?
You do that thing, just repair that area coming off the South Street, it's pretty
Oh, on that, on the Dozier property. We do need to look at that at some point.
I went and looked at it a couple times, I went lately. I mean, a load of asphalt, a dump truck load of asphalt, I mean, about $3,000. We can put it down in motor grader and some of it there. It's not pretty, but it's more effective than us going there and trying to patch it and let it beat back out. But we can put down we've done it, they done it some areas here before I got here, but we could go in there like that,
With this, going out for RF.
When we get that, we could use that to actually, to fix that right. But if it's something immediately that we need to do.
You talking about spreading it and running over it with motor grader?
We dump it out and spread it with a motor grader and put it down.
Just load the roller up and.
Well, you roll it afterwards, but you gotta get the asphalt out somewhere. If you start getting into big patches, you can't hardly spread it by hand. But we've done it, in the past where normally you have a smooth tire motor grader and do it.
Scotty, check with David Belvin. I think there's some funding available for that.
Okay.
I've heard him discuss it in the past.
It's just a short area where the old building.
Right.
Right. Mr. Rooks, Danielle?
She ready?
Okay, I have nothing. This meeting's adjourned. Yeah, let's take a 10-minute break.
Yeah, we talked about it.